Headlines 98.3 as I got an echo. There we go. Maybe not. It's a weird. You can hear me?
I can hear you.
All right. We'll try it again. The Seminole Headlines 93.3 Real Talk Radio Warchant TV. Now we're right. Now we're not echoing. Now I can finally complete a sentence. All right, we're good. Corey's there. Ira's there. I have to look like a fool when I got 6 things in my ears, guys. Sorry, but I'll wear it. I'll wear it early.
It was definitely different, and we appreciate you powering through, buddy.
That's what I do as the host, as the driver. Hello, Corey. I see you in Atlanta. How are you, buddy?
I'm good, guys. I'm good. We're off to a flying start, as always. I love these shows. It's my fault. I'm not in studio. I think that throws everything off kilter, but we're going to rally. We're going to have a good show.
We should hyper focus on it. I think we should get right back to Actually, why don't we begin the show this way before I thank our friends at Register Sausage? Be thinking for this hour, because, the headliners will carry us for hour 2. But for this hour, how do we get around not talking about recruiting?
I mean, we can talk about recruiting.
Is there anything more? I think we squeezed.
I don't want to talk about recruiting,
is there anything
but
more?
I'm not afraid to talk about recruiting.
All right. Well, then with that, I'll say our thanks to Register Sausage as always. And yay, sausage!
Register Sausage is, guys, it's the holiday. This is like holiday season for Register Sausage. July 4th coming up.
Oh, forget about it.
I mean, there's no better time. There's no bad time for Register Sausage, but there's no better time.
If you're going to grill the Register Sausage for July 4th, we just know that you need to be over like a shaded overhang because it gets rough out there these days, Ira. I did it over the weekend, and I had all the Register Sausage out there. I had all these other meats going on with it. I have a huge grill. I about died.
It's weird because like Kim and Corey will do a little bit of grilling. Not usually not the heavy duty. He's not doing the
Stephanie will grill.
Oh, okay. All right.
Stephanie grills. My grill works and Stephanie uses it.
But Kim's always like, it's kind of hot to grill. And I'm like, well, yeah, I don't know. We're not going to grill in the winter. It's
kind of odd, right? Like
it's fun to grill in the winter.
I feel like you should do more grilling in the winter.
It also
that seems like the better time to do it.
Because it can mess with the temperatures because you got the cold outside air battling your grill.
Well, that's when you become a seasoned veteran for all of the different campaigns, whether it's winter, spring, fall. You're able to do it. You know how to affect your grill. Either way, none of it's going to matter if you don't have Register Sausage.
That's right. And you can have it delivered. If you go to registermeats.com, that's the website. They'll have it delivered to you fresh with ice packs. It's fantastic. Or if you live in this part of the country, go to your local grocery store and you can get your registered meats there.
So somebody asked, other than injury, how could anything go wrong this year? That's in the chat out the get-go. There you go. Other than injury, what could go wrong? Like what could happen that would cause this team to have a bad year?
I like how quickly it's turned where literally this time a year ago, everybody was doomsday. Like, nothing goes right. It certainly played out on that last drive for LSU right up until the blocked extra point. And now it's like people, with good reason, people look at this season like, yeah, this is an awesome team. I don't see how we don't get to the playoff, or I don't see how we don't win 11 or 12 games. That's a cool place to be after just a year. And after 5 years of beating the dumps, as Jordan Travis called it.
It is funny how fast it happens. And the weird thing is, like, none of us disagree with the fact that Florida State's really good. The only time we get into debate is if we start talking about what we think is a reasonable expectation. And even then, we're saying that reasonable expectation is that Florida State should probably win the ACC, certainly play in the conference championship game. So, like, that's an agreed upon deal. I don't know why we would talk down about that. We'd say that we do think that's the possibility. But at the same time, I always feel a little uneasy, to your point, Corey, because they've gone from being really bad to really good, really fast. And that is very rare. But maybe that's the byproduct solely of the transfer portal.
Yeah, but also I get the idea from a fan base standpoint. Florida State's fans, really since 2015, have been watching the upper echelon of college football kind of compete at a different level. Like Florida State hasn't been in the conversation for the college football playoff really since the last time they went. Going into 2017, there was excitement because of the way Florida State ended 2016 and because of the way, the hype of that 2017 opener against Alabama. But from that moment on, it was like Florida State was playing a different sport. It was like the last 2 weeks watching the College World Series.
Oh, yeah.
And knowing that Florida State's baseball team could not compete on that stage. Well, from 2017, for most of 2017 through 2022, 2022,
Yeah,
early 2022.
that was also true.
That was the feeling that it was like a different, you didn't have to watch the playoff selection show. It was almost like a different sport going on at the same time as the sport you were playing. Well, now all of a sudden in 12 months, you have to convince yourself that, yeah, we belong with those teams. And I think sometimes people have a challenge kind of wrestling with that.
Yeah, it's understandable though, because when you watch other programs turn the corner, it seems gradual. Like you kind of watch them, you're like, oh, so-and-so's not so bad anymore. That coach is doing a good job. So-and-so seems to have them playing really hard. And they'll have a 6-6 year, and then they'll have a 8-4 year. And you're like, oh, okay, so it's been a gradual rise to prominence. Florida State went from 5-7 to 10-3 to being preseason predicted to win the conference. That is rapid fire change. Now, a big part of that is that your quarterback became transcendent overnight. Like he went from being, okay, a guy that kind of had to play because their offensive line wasn't very good and they needed somebody to get the hell out of the way and be able to duck getting killed. And then he got a little bit better as a passer, but you still didn't think he was an elite guy, not from the pocket anyhow, to all of a sudden now he does everything you would ever want a quarterback to do. And so that definitely changes your trajectory of what you can be, but it is a rapid fire ascent.
What's different about it, I think, than like the Georgias and Ohio States and Alabamas of the world is that you're doing it like this year. A lot of the excitement obviously comes from the people that came back, but we've never seen Keon Coleman play. We've never seen Jaheim Bell. I'm talking about in person on this team.
Yeah.
Fentrell Cypress, Braden Fisk. You have all these guys that are pieces that you haven't seen kind of grow up through the system that are now being, implemented, planted right on your team. And they are difference makers. Supposedly, we'll see, right? They prove it to me in Orlando, guys. But yeah, these guys are difference makers, and that's something that the gradual nature of a way a program usually turns around. It's like they took the shortcut, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean they expedited things tremendously, starting with Jermaine Johnson and Keir Thomas, but now the transfer portal has made Florida State where, I don't think they're the most talented roster in the country. I'm pretty darn sure they're the most experienced roster in the country. And they have dudes all over the field that have played a ton of college football. And a good portion of them will be playing on Sundays. Might not be first-round picks, but they're good. They're a good team, and they're experienced.
It is a combination, though. It's not just the transfer portal. Like, they filled some holes there. They also did a tremendous job with retention. Those guys last year that they brought in as transfers, to get them to come back for another year, Jared Verse and some of these other guys. And then they have developed some players. There's a base of this team. There's a lot of guys on this team, the Lawrence Tofilis and some of the offensive linemen, Robert Scott, Maurice Smith, a bunch of these guys that have developed, Josh Farmer, they've developed in the program, Shaheem Brown. There's just, so it's a three-pronged approach, but I think it's all coming together at the same time as your quarterback, again, took that next step and decided to return as well. So, I mean, it's like, everything has kind of come together, which goes back to the original question in the chat is like, I think for a fan, you want to like pinch yourself a little bit. Like, man,
how quickly this is unbelievable.
Everything's kind of come together.
To answer the question, I guess what could go wrong is that when you have now a set of expectations that are championship game or bust or college football playoff or bust, well, your whole season goes south in September. You go ahead and lose to LSU and Clemson, which is not unheard of and not a crazy result. And if you lose 27-24 and 31-30, are you ass now because you lost the 2 games against the really good teams in your roster? No, you're not bad. Now, you left yourself no margin for error the rest of the season. You have to go undefeated to really kind of reach expectations as they're set now. But it's entirely possible. You're playing one of those games at Clemson, a team you haven't beaten in, 8-9 years, and you're playing another one against LSU, who's basically your clone. The 2 teams looked like they were the same at the end of last year.
I did think it was interesting this past week. Reese Davis was on a podcast, one of the ESPN college football podcasts, and I don't think Reese Davis has necessarily been an FSU supporter, but he even said, he's like, look, man, I know people assume that Florida State's out of it if they lose those 2 games. He's like, I'm not totally sure that they are, because if LSU goes on to win the SEC,
no shame.
And if Clemson goes on to win the regular season ACC, and you avenge one of those losses, and depending on how things shake out, Florida State's the season might not be lost. Now, the challenge for Norvell and the coaching staff will be making sure the kids believe that, because they are all in on trying to win a national title, not just, be a 10-win team.
Well, that was one of the things that their adversary in week 1 did really well. Is Kelly had a mess on his hands. He loses that game, and then their receivers are talking online. You got guys pulling down their bios on Instagram and Twitter. Another one was rumored to be this close to transferring or sitting out the rest of the way because he was a pro prospect.
Didn't seem like they believed in Jaden Daniels.
They didn't believe in Jaden Daniels at all. And then all of a sudden they win the West. And they were not a team anybody wanted to play. And then that's why they have huge expectations coming into this season. He somehow found a way to galvanize a group that was shattered after the first 3 to 4 weeks of the season. And you're right. That's the change, is that challenges become very different than they certainly look very different than they used to. When you're sub 500, you're just trying not to have a losing season. Everybody can rally around just trying not to suck. And then at some point when you have huge expectations, it affects everybody differently if those aren't being met early in a season. So I think that would be the challenge if they lose the LSU game, because 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, you're going to be playing Clemson on the road.
And I'm writing a column, spoiler alert, but I'm writing a column on just how experienced this Florida State team is. Like, I'm tracking every player that started a game, how many starts they have in their careers. And in Florida State, spoiler alert, they have over 600 starts on their roster, on their college football, on their 600 starts, which is an incredible number. And then I start going down
experience.
I start going down LSU's roster, and they don't have 600 starts, but their starting safety has already started 43 games in college. Jane Daniels has already started over 40 games in college. They have offensive linemen that have started. The Frazier kid that Florida State was in on from FIU, he has over 30 college starts. Their defensive line, the Mason Smith kid, and other guys, they're loaded with experience too. They're not as much experience as Florida State, but they probably have more top-end talent than Florida State. This literally might be the two most experienced teams in college football playing each other in the first game of the season. And it might be a playoff preview. I mean, we don't know. Like, when I started looking at LSU's roster, and then I went and looked at Clemson's roster and Florida's roster, I'm like, man, there's no reason Florida State should not be contending for a national championship. They are good enough if they stay healthy. You got to get breaks, right? You got to get breaks, but they are good enough, and they have that quarterback. If he's healthy, they might have the best 1-2 wide receiver duo in the country. They have a really good tight end, and they have an offensive line with over 200 career starts. It's set up pretty well for them.
Yeah, I think that there's no reason not to have lofty expectations. I'm certainly not trying to put a pin in that and tell people to slow their roll. I think they should.
Don't finish the sentence. Don't even finish the sentence. Ira, start talking. No, there's nothing. We don't need a but.
But you notice that when we do this, we rightfully always turn to Jordan Travis, and the quarterback's most important position on the field. I got you. We don't hyper-focus on the defense, and I think that's the whole season. I mean, if you're going to win a championship of any kind, conference or otherwise, that defense is going to have to get some stops every now and again against good offense.
And I think it is. I think
it will. But also, what I was going to say is this defense isn't last year's defense, and that you didn't have Braden Fisk last year. You didn't have this Josh Farmer. You didn't have Fabian Lovett the whole season, and you didn't have Daryl Jackson.
The defensive line is not a problem at all.
But if you have a really strong defensive line and experience in the back seven, and other than safety, and those two guys have experience, but the backups don't. There's experience everywhere to go along with what could be a dominating defensive line.
The recipe for that success is clearly borne out. Yeah, you guys are both right. I see that as well as you do. They just still have to do it. We know the offense can be elite. We saw it at times last year. I have not seen against a good offense this defense be really, really good. And they have the pieces to do that. That's why the pressure's on them to do it, because we think they're equipped in a way that they haven't been. So they have to produce. That's all that is.
Yeah, and going back to the linebackers again, because I think there's not that many questions about the secondary. This is not a secondary. Even what they bring back, those guys aren't guys that got beat a lot last year.
No,
that was
just the safety position, right? If somebody, one of those two guys goes down,
yeah, you're a little bit concerned about the depth. But in terms of like the top 6 or 7 guys in that secondary, you feel pretty good. In terms of the top 6, 7, 8 guys in the defensive line, you feel really good. There are questions about the linebacker core. But again, I just think that they will be so much better off because of the play up front, and if they can stay healthy. Now, if they don't stay healthy, man, that's the same deal with every team. Like, if you lose your starting linebackers, that's going to be a challenge. If those guys can stay healthy and play close to 100% with that defensive front up front, I mean, the way they can play up front, I think this defense is going to be good. I'll be very surprised if this defense is not good this year. Will it put up huge numbers? No, probably not, because the offense is going to be scoring a ton. You're going to be in games where teams are trying to score at a high rate also. But I do think it's going to be a solid defense.
I have no reason to think it won't be either. That's why when we do the comparisons, I'm always looking at, like, can you win the national championship? I think they're a good enough defense to win the conference, good enough defense to make the college football playoff. So
well, give yourself a chance, right? I mean,
that's all you got to ask for, right?
If you're in the conversation, or let's say you're in the playoff and you're playing Ohio State, you have a Heisman caliber. Obviously, Jordan Travis had a very good year. If you're in the playoff, so you've got one of the best players in the country at quarterback, and you've got you're not going to be overwhelmed. You're not going to be TCU versus Georgia. You're going to have the requisite skill set to stay on the field. They might have a little more top end talent, whoever you're playing. But you can be in the game in the fourth quarter. And if you're in the game in the fourth quarter, you got Jordan Travis and you got Fitzmagic. That's all you need. That's all you need. You got a guy, all he does is kick game winners.
Do you think we're about to get to the point of the summer, though, where we start getting some even more pushback to Florida State?
It seems like the timing's right. There have been countless articles written about how
that'll flip. That'll flip.
I mean, somebody's going to point out that they haven't won anything yet.
Right.
Now that may fine. That's the genesis of an article. You point out that they haven't won anything, and that even the team that really turned it around last year still didn't win the division, didn't win the conference, didn't play for it. So they still have to do it. And I get it. I get it. If you're somewhere tired of reading about Florida State, you'd say, okay, look, guys, they haven't done anything.
Well, it's how the offseason media cycle starts. Like everybody's in a race at first to anoint who
that team's going to be good.
This is going to be the team that's going to be good. And so Marsh Schlabach was first out the gate. I think it was with the night of the national championship game.
Yeah, it's like number 2 or 3 in the country. Yeah.
And then a bunch of other people jumped on. And so you get that. Well, now you'll get the other people saying, well, I've got to come up with something new. And my new thing is maybe they're all wrong about Florida State. And so you're going to get some of that. And I think Florida State may not be quite the darling of the next month or two that they were going into the spring, but that doesn't mean that anything's changed about this team.
They're going to be a top 10 team, though.
Right.
Like preseason rank. I mean,
but
they'll be a top 10 team.
A month or two ago, we were thinking they might be top 5.
Yeah. And that's interesting. Do you want to be top 5? I know the coach's staff is going to say we don't care, whatever, we'll accept the expectations, but at the same time, I don't know. I think they're settling at 7. Sounds good to me. Perfect. You got all the chances and opportunities you need at 7 to get 2 big wins, and you're playing in the college football play. Well, you're at least playing for the conference title, and then if you win that game, you're going to make the playoffs. So this is it's just fun to have that conversation. It's fun to kind of poke holes in the arguments that they're great. It's fun to poke holes in the arguments that say Florida State can't be great, because I don't think that's true either. I think Florida State can be really, really, really good this year.
And I think what's going to be happening at the same time is I think there's going to be more and more inertia behind LSU. I think there's going to be more and more talk about Jaden Daniels and some of those guys on defense. And it's almost like, are they going to be the next team to take the mantle for the SEC?
What's cool about it, though, is because I was doing the research on the LSU roster, and they have some returners at wide receiver. The Malik Neighbors kid, the kid that fumbled all the punts, but he had a really good season last year. They've got a pretty stacked wide receiver room. It's LSU. Of course they do. They've got guys that have played a lot of football. Well, they aren't better than Florida State's. Like, what if Keon Coleman is better than Johnny Wilson? And he might be. Yeah. Like, he had almost the same year last year with a worse quarterback throwing to him in a horrible offense. Like, Keon Coleman might be as special or more special than Johnny Wilson. I mean, come on, man. What? LSU, great. You got Malik Neighbors, and you got some guys that can play. I don't know that Florida State will line up with anyone this season that has 2 guys like that on the outside. They won't. And LSU won't face anything like this the rest of the year. So that's comforting.
Unless we play Ohio State in the college football playoff, we won't line up against anybody with receivers comparable. Right. There you go.
So they got the one guy for sure. That dude is ridiculous.
He's different. Seminole Headlines, 93.3 Real Talk Radio. Warchant TV continues in a moment.
Discover the tastes of Peru at Café de Martín and El Bar, a one-of-a-kind culinary and cocktail concept created by classically trained chef Martín Araujo. Con amor y pasión, with love and passion, Café de Martín is a fine Peruvian dining experience in an approachable, comfortable, cultural-rich space built for creating memories to last a lifetime. Enjoy happy hour daily with a full bar, handcrafted cocktails, beers on draft and bottle, paired with a selection of Peruvian tapas like crispy fried yuca with house-made huancaína sauce, carefully selected charcuterie boards, a selection of fresh ceviche, and so much more. It's Café de Martín and El Bar. Escape to Peru, a country of great culture, beauty, and food right here in the capital city. Café de Martín and El Bar on Capitol Circle Northeast in the Esposito Shopping Center. Open daily for lunch, happy hour, and dinner. Online at cafedemartin.com.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus, happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas Wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Hey Tallahassee, it's Sarah with Seminole Auto Glass. You're probably driving right now, which means you're surrounded by glass. Did you know that each piece is made differently? Your windshield is 2 sheets of glass with a thin plastic in between. This allows it to take an impact without going all the way through. Side and back glasses are typically tempered. This strengthening process is what allows them to be shattered in the event of an emergency. Regardless of the glass or how it breaks, we can help. Trust your local auto glass experts. Seminole Auto Glass, proudly serving the Big Bend for over 15 years. Better call Seminole.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. Wounded Warrior Project was created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war, whether those scars are physical or mental. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Hey y'all, my name is Tiara, and a little thing that I love about the Chick-fil-A spicy chicken biscuit is that it has the perfect amount of spice to jumpstart my day. Whoever thought of it, thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Robert, and a little thing I love about Chick-fil-A spicy chicken biscuit is the biscuit. It reminds me of my grandma's homemade biscuit. It's always buttery and savory. Then you add the spices, instant classic.
Order the spicy chicken biscuit on the Chick-fil-A app today. Real Chick-fil-A guests paid for their testimonials.
Life is stressful. Dinner shouldn't be. That motto is why Register Sausage has been doing business in the Florida Panhandle and Lower Alabama for over 75 years. A proud sponsor of Seminole Headlines, Register Sausage always provides the best Southern smoked sausage to over 140 grocery stores and restaurants throughout the Southeast. Headliners have discovered the Register's difference. You can too. To find a store that carries Registers near you or to buy directly, head to registermeats.com. That's registermeats.com. Register Sausage. Yay, sausage!
Seminole Headlines returns now. Head to YouTube and search for Warchant TV today to catch the show live or on demand. Now, here's Jeff Cameron, Ira Schofel, and Corey Clark.
I stayed and watched every last pitch and every last out of last night's ass beating. I'll admit, I'm petty. I watched it all and enjoyed every bit of it. My wife's like, turn off the TV. It's late. They're up like 20. What are you doing? I'm like, no. This kid could go deep. And he did. And he did and stood and looked at it. It's pretty clear that
what was the final score?
18-4.
I think I turned it off at 14-4, maybe.
Yeah, it was.
I think Florida still outscored them for the series. I think.
the good news is that the record held by Florida lasted for a night, because the next night LSU beat it in terms of hits. It's a glorious thing. So you get outdone the next night with the whole thing on the line. It's pretty clear that that's not a likable head coach at Florida. So
yeah, I think
everybody's going to take some extra bases.
Yeah, I think that's universally held. It's funny with baseball because the other day, and the Orioles have been fresh on the mind because obviously they're so good, but also I had that Father's Day gift last week. I got to go to the games last week with
you saw a split,
Molly
didn't you?
and Alexa. Yeah. Which again, like Corey texted me afterwards, like, "Hey man, 1-1 down there is good." And
1-1's pretty good.
I agree. I mean, I think they'd lost 7 games before that series all at home all year, so it was a big deal. But the other night they got bombed in the first game of their series. I guess it was the Royals. I think bombed them, and I, like I was talking to one of my daughters now is interested in the Orioles, and they were asking me questions about
over.
Well, and they're just asking questions like, "Man, how they got beat that bad?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but and explaining baseball, next day starting pitcher," and it was funny because even You look at that Florida game, and I think some people thought, oh man, Florida's just going to just destroy them in the third game. And it's like, man, what happened in that second game didn't really mean once it was decided.
Yeah, once it got past the third inning. Yeah, once it was past the third inning, LSU was just like, we got to save all our arms for tomorrow.
I was trying to explain this to my wife. She was like, why do you think – because I said to her after that 24-4 game, I was like, I think LSU will win tomorrow night. And she goes, what? Why? I go, well, first of all, any guy that they needed to pitch in an important role did not pitch. Yeah. And so they saved them all for last night. No, and I was like, I think Florida's out of pitching. We'll see. They better
worse. Yeah, it would have been worse if they had been in a close game.
And used them all. Yeah, way worse. So, yeah, man, that's – but one thing, again, I guess the way to really look at it beyond the Schadenfreude, which was great, it's fine. I like LSU fans. They love baseball, whatever, another title. But watching those two teams and watching Wake and watching some of the other teams that made it out there, you're just like, damn it, the realization that Florida State is a ways away. Now, I can have it quick with the transfer portal, and I already like some of the additions we've seen this offseason, but man alive, that's it is a glaring difference between the level of baseball being played by a lot of those teams and where Florida State has fallen to.
But before we get into that, it will be cool in Orlando, Florida State fans, everyone watching the show, when you see an LSU fan.
Give them a hug.
Give them a hug, what they just did for you guys last night. I mean, everybody was rooting for it. You got no ill will towards LSU, and they just kept Florida from winning a national championship and something. So I know you're going to want to beat them on the football field, but at least tell them thanks for what they did to Florida. But yeah, I think, look, man, I don't know how normal that is, though, what we saw in this series. Like, you have the 3 top play picks in the draft in these two teams. You probably have, I don't know, when it's all said and done, 8 or 10 first rounders when you count the Florida pitching staff and guys that are underclassmen right now. I don't know that that's normal. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that who won the College World Series? Coastal Carolina, College of Charleston?
It was a ways back. Coastal Carolina did, yes.
I mean, it wasn't in the 80s. It was this century.
No, I'm saying in the last 5 years, only an SEC team has won. So, and it's been 5 different SEC teams. So this is the more troubling point.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
Yeah, I think Virginia won it like 7 or 8 years ago. Then I think that might have been that Coastal team, and then after that, it's been all SEC. Yeah.
So
and it's it's no mystery either, right? They have more money, they have better facilities, and they're in the South. So they're getting mainly the who's who of great players. And like the Tennessee kid, Aslan was just texting that we want to get the Seminole Headlines on the bandwagon of trying to get, what's his name? Chase Burns, the pitcher from Tennessee that throws 101.
Yeah, let's get him. Yeah.
He just entered the transfer portal. And it's like, okay, man, he's probably going to LSU. I don't know that he's leaving Tennessee to come to Florida State. Make your bids, folks. Get him here. That's fine. Do what you got to do. But he's probably transferring to another SEC school because they can afford him. That's the life we live right now.
This is what we were warning about. You would start to see it. We talk the big picture all the time about trying to get out of the conference because of the disparity of money for the Big Ten and the SEC. And we said it won't be immediately obvious on the football field. Florida State will continue to compete there and continue to rise up right now. Long term, they're in trouble if they don't get out. But where you're already seeing it is the SEC in baseball. It began a while back. It's terribly troubling when you watch SEC baseball games on television because every time you do, if it's a regular season game and they're playing at their respective parks, it's better than your park. It's better than all the parks you've seen in this damn conference. And then you realize, well, that kid right there had to have cost them $500,000. You're not getting Cruz. You're not getting these other kids. Like the NIL for baseball is a real thing because they have it. I don't know how much I don't know. I'm legitimately saying I don't know. Who's the big NIL guy or group for Florida State baseball? Because they got to find one because the top tier talent are being bid on in that sport the way they are in football. Now, we've done it. We've seen the battles do yeoman's work in football, but I don't know that anybody's doing that for baseball. And if they're not, you won't have these rosters.
Several of the baseball guys have announced deals with Rising Spear. So there are NIL opportunities out there, whether it's the money to get a Tommy Tanks or whether it's the guy, the Alabama freshman that had 25 home runs. It's already announced he's transferring to Florida. And so, I don't know that they're in that league, but that's the challenge that, and again, there's a lot of reasons why the financial situation is a problem with the ACC is in right now. But one of the big ones is because you look at where you can allocate your money. Florida State is going to have to finance. They're still having to finance this football facility they're building. If you've got hundreds of millions of dollars coming in from your television deal. Now you don't have to tell your donors to give to these projects, these facilities. You can tell them to donate it towards the collectives, and then you can get players that way. It's not a coincidence. LSU, they win the women's basketball national championship, and then right after that season,
that was a likable team. I thought. I'm glad they got a lot of players coming back.
And right after the season ends, the girl from Louisville, who's one of the top players in the country, she announces she's transferring to LSU. She's joining that team. Look at Oklahoma in softball, what they've done from NIL. So it's not just football. Everybody talks about football and maybe men's basketball with NIL. These other sports, the numbers may not be as big, but they can have as big an impact or more, because I don't know that everybody's playing that game, whereas obviously the SEC schools are.
Yeah, man, and I hate it because you were very, very proud in all of them, and you were right there with the best programs in the country forever. And now, right now, we have to hope certainly that it's football. You got to continue to save, the breadwinner. But man, alive, I think we're just going to watch these super rosters that you're talking about being built in the SEC continue in baseball. I mean, you're way behind. It's not
I hope the narrative does become. I had a friend, Chris, text me this. Like, he gets tired of hearing about the SEC narrative in baseball as if they just want it more or it means more. It's no, they have more money. And since 2008, when they signed that first lucrative ESPN deal, look who wins the national championships now. It's not a coincidence. Like, when we were growing up, whoever thought of Arkansas baseball as anything, or Ole Miss baseball? It was Mississippi State and LSU. Those were the only two in Florida, little, but it was mainly Mississippi State and LSU were the two the powers in the SEC. Now they're all powerful, including Vanderbilt. And that's what you're dealing with, is these schools that you just can't compete with financially. And maybe the narrative will be shift to, like, isn't this, look at the SEC, LSU versus Florida, or Vanderbilt versus Arkansas. Maybe it'll become more like, well, this kind of sucks for the rest of the country. There's only one conference, because the Big Ten's the only other conference that can compete financially, and it's the Big Ten. They're never going to be anything at baseball. That isn't going to happen. So all the best players and all the best money will can stay in the South, and they'll all go to these schools probably.
Complaining about it, though, it sounds like complaining about officiating. To me, it's like, I just think as we're talking, I keep thinking about Odell Higgins telling his defensive lineman that holding's a personal problem, or Mickey Andrews would say holding's a personal problem. Figure it out. Wake Forest figured it out. I mean, they were loaded, phenomenal.
Yeah.
So Link Jarrett, figure it out. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know that you're going to have the money, but you can be more resourceful. Look at Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball, what the Rays did, what the Orioles are doing. Some of these teams that don't have the huge payrolls, you can figure it out. It's just not as easy. It's
and your margin for error is thin too. Yeah,
much more. Yeah. But the point being,
if Link Jarrett's what he's supposed to be, they can figure it out.
And I'm not giving anybody a pass. I'm with you on this, because ultimately that's what's going to happen. Is you're going to say, well, I'm tired of hearing it. Do we just want to get rid of the baseball program? Can't compete? Just get rid of it? Or are we going to go ahead and try to win some games around here? Well, if you're trying to win some games, then you got to do it in whatever you got to do. And I'm not saying there aren't money people that are willing to help out with baseball. Right. They're out there. I mean, we'll start fishing around, because I for whatever reason, watching the College World Series this year, and I enjoyed it. I was surprised that I did. I didn't think I was going to continue to watch it, given how bad Florida State was and not going to the postseason. I found myself still watching the postseason in baseball, including the College World Series. There were several teams that made it out there that was kind of like, man, you ought to be as good as that team. That they're not spending $1 gazillion. Now, again, winning the championship's different, and each of the last 5 years has been a different SEC team to do it, so that's pretty annoying. But you place like Florida State is still a huge draw to play baseball. You still have a fertile ground for which to recruit. And I do think there's some people that will pony up a little bit. And he's made some good moves this offseason already.
Right. Well, look at all these guys. When you look at Major League Baseball, and I'm paying more attention to Major League Baseball these days, how many of these guys in the big leagues played at UNF or played at Stetson or played at JU?
Tons of them.
There's a ton of them that Florida State hadn't been getting. Well, you got to at least get those guys. You may not be able to beat Florida, LSU, Tennessee head-to-head for the guys who want the big NIL contract, but there's plenty of good baseball players out there.
It just sucks that you have to do more with less. But you do. That's the reality of it, and that's what you're doing in football. But you have to do more with less. LSU, Tennessee, Arkansas has more resources than Florida State baseball. It just
by a lot.
It kind of sucks. But it's the reality. But you have to do something about it.
that's not really a new TV story. I mean, I remember when Lamar went out there to cover the regional FSU was in, and he was like, "Man,
that was incredible."
The Tyson money. I mean, they've got money other ways than
but they weren't anything, right? They weren't really anything until now.
But they had resources.
Yeah, sure. I mean,
there are some things I've talked about this before that you can do to help infuse money beyond NIL. A lot of the SEC programs, you'll note, the baseball stadium is named after the cable provider or whoever is serving the food or whatever. Like, they've come in with these joint ventures. Again, I don't want to lobby for any one entity to get it, but
I think that
we can do something here.
That day
Registers. I mean, it could be Register Stadium. I don't see a problem with that.
You got to do something along those lines.
You could pony that up. It could be Dick House. We saw a Hauser. It could be Hauser Register Field or something, or Hauser Register Stadium. And I will say this: is it better to have your first losing season in school history, or go out and get embarrassed in the World Series Finals? That's all I'm saying.
It's better to go to the College
No
World
way.
Series.
You crazy?
Yes,
LSU just scored again.
Yeah,
they wasted all that time. They wasted the last month for nothing.
So this is the beauty. I did think this last night, Corey, to your larger point. For years, Florida State fans were the most absurd fans in the world. Like, it was a bad year if you lost in the championship round and you were chokers and bums. And what was the point of even playing the regular season? Florida gets to feel that now. That's what they get to feel. I mean, he's blown a million opportunities out there. I know he's got the one, but damn, dude, you're loaded every year. Why can't you get it done, Sully, you bum?
Everybody on the staff throws 99. Literally everybody on the staff throws 99.
The best players in the world, and you're getting beat 18-4 like a bitch. Seminole Headlines, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Local news now.
If you need a new job, you may want to mark the calendar for an upcoming informational event from the Office of Economic Vitality on Tuesday. It's about job opportunities at the new Amazon facility. Amazon representatives will provide insight into the work environment and the prerequisites for employment. They will also review benefits and opportunities within the company. The event will take place at the Dr. B.L. Perry Jr. Branch Library, located at 2817 South Adams Street. There will be no applications or interviews at this time. Brooks County Community Farmers and Makers Market will be reopening on Saturday. The space is located off of Highway 84. The market will run from June through October from 9 to 3. Those interested in participating in the market should contact the Brooks County Board of Commissioners Administration Office at 229-263-5561 and ask to speak with Leslie Hall for facility usage rules. This is Rachel Anay with your Real Talk 93.3 Local News Update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. A heat advisory continues until 8 p.m. tonight. Chance for scattered thunderstorms this afternoon. Otherwise, sunshine mixed with clouds at times. Highs level off around 96. Winds out the west, 5 to 10 miles per hour. Chance for scattered storms again tonight, 75. Partly cloudy. Tomorrow, high of 97. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 94.
My man, Eddie.
Jeff, what's happening, dude?
Bears eating people all over the place. I read another article today. It's the third one in the last month of somebody getting mauled to death by a bear.
Man, bears have their own space. You got to let them have that.
You do. You got to steer clear of bears, is what you're saying?
Yes.
I got a question for you. Here you go. If you had to be mauled to death, eaten alive by any animal in the world, which would you choose to eat you alive?
Ooh, I think maybe I'd want, I don't know, longevity time, a mouse.
Slow burn.
Slow burn.
Just finished the pinky. It's been a month.
I could go to work. I could still do my thing. I could probably live 30 years.
I thought you were going to say great white because it'd be quick, or a grizzly. We went with mouse.
Yeah, mouse.
Okay. Mouse it is. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Life is stressful. Dinner shouldn't be. That motto is why Register Sausage has been doing business in the Florida Panhandle and Lower Alabama for over 75 years. A proud sponsor of Seminole Headlines, Register Sausage always provides the best Southern smoked sausage to over 140 grocery stores and restaurants throughout the Southeast. Headliners have discovered the Register's difference. You can too. To find a store that carries Registers near you or to buy directly, head to registermeats.com. That's registermeats.com. Register Sausage. Yay, sausage!
Seminole Headlines returns now. Head to YouTube and search for Warchant TV today to catch the show live or on demand. Now, here's Jeff Cameron, Ira Schofel, and Corey Clark.
We'll get to your headliner questions at the start of next hour. I'm sure they'll be bountiful. I imagine we got a lot.
I saw it peeked ahead. We have a
Did
few
you?
recruiting questions. So we're going to get to talk about recruiting, Jeff.
Nice,
It's going to happen.
nice.
Well,
whether you want to or not.
I'm going to deflect all of the recruiting questions to Corey. He seems to be locked in.
I am. Just ask me anything, gang. Ask me anything about this recruiting class. Hey, would like to see one of these guys commit. I'm with you guys.
Commit.
I'd like to see one.
They're going to commit. It'll be all right.
What are they waiting on? July 4th?
I think-
Labor Day?
Apparently, yeah, there's word out there that there's a little groundswell. I don't know how they decide when they want kids to say. That's the other weird thing about recruiting is that there's so many games that are played within it above and beyond just like, oh, this kid, you got to get this kid on campus, you got to meet this kid, you got to build a relationship. Then it's kind of like, let's time your commitment to this date because we think there's some sort of strategic value to that.
And the one kid, Charles Lester, who actually goes to the same high school that Shannon went to, Sarasota Riverview.
Not anymore, buddy.
Oh, where does he go now?
Transfer to Venice.
Oh,
arch rival.
Come on, Riverview. Got to lock Lester up. What's the Riverview's NIL situation? They can't keep Charles Lester there. But he announced that he was going to announce July 29th, maybe, or somewhere in there.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
What's he thinking about for the next month, do you think, Ira?
I mean, I think he probably already has a good idea what he wants to do. Yeah, and again, like part of it is it's when, I think back to like when recruiting back in the day, like when Gene Williams was .com on our message boards, and he would do the wink when a kid would commit.
Right.
Because a kid would commit to the coaches, and then Gene would get wind of it, and then he would do the wink, and then he had time to call the kid, interview the kid, write the story, then break the story that a kid committed.
Do some reporting.
Well, but there was only one real outlet. There was like one or two other kind of fringe outlets.
Right.
But now the kids kind of control the process and the coaches control the process. So you have the combination of the coaches when they want things to be out there. And then you also have when kids want things to be out here. Here's one thing I would tell you about Florida State's coaching staff that, nobody's really talking about is sometimes you don't want kids to commit as early as possible, because what that does is it gives every other school the
More
knowledge
time
of who to recruit against.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And now it becomes a challenge to hold that kid because everybody's trying to flip them. And so sometimes there have been times where Florida State has brought kids in later on visits than other schools, or encouraged them to commit later than other schools because of some of those reasons. There's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes beyond just, hey, do you want to come here? Yeah, I want to come here. Okay, great. Why don't you go ahead and announce it?
I miss the old days of waiting around to actual signing day, knowing that Bobby was once again going to have that banner afternoon. Yeah, it was going to be like 9 guys. We're going to go, another one. He did it again.
Bowden had an in-home last night.
Yeah, it's over now, guys. It's over. Hey, Mark, thanks again as always, man. You are a pillar. Over under on new recruiting commits by July the 4th, 1.5. And better movie, The Hangover Part 1 or Old School. I'm going to go with Old School. And then as far as the recruiting commits go, I have no idea. I'm going to say over, though.
It needs to be over. It'll be over.
Oh, I was going with it.
Oh, there you go. So we got a week.
I was getting a little frustrated.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not a frustration. I believe they've got kids who are committed and are planning to announce. And if that doesn't happen, I think something went wrong.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That's
again
needs to happen. Sounds right.
But it's not. But it's not an arbitrary.
No, you're not personally.
That's my frustration with some of this has been like people are like panicking because Florida got a lot of commitments that Florida State's got to match that. Like, where's Florida State's run of commitments? Every school situation is different. Every school's recruiting situation is different. And I think with this, the reason I say it needs to happen here is because you had your quarterback commit, Luke Kromenhoek, come out and say, we've got some guys who are about to announce. We don't want to steal their thunder, but that's coming. We had some other indications this weekend that at least maybe a few kids had told them they're coming. Some of these kids are saying they're going to announce in early July. If that doesn't happen, now I think at that point you'd be like, okay, what's going on here? But right now, I'm not concerned. I mean, I'm not.
Answer the question, Ira. Old school or hangover? Thanks again, Mark. Appreciate it, buddy.
Both outrageously funny.
Yeah, both
old
incredibly
school,
good.
I think you're right with that.
I think old school is not probably, is more quotable, like earmuffs and Frank the Tank and all that. But I think hangover's I think I laughed more at hangover than I did old school. I mean, old school had Will Ferrell, which is hard to compete with.
That's what I was going to say. Will Ferrell's like your super duper 5-star. Like he just
Yeah.
him running naked.
We've talked about it before. When he shows up on screen, you start laughing.
Yeah.
He doesn't even have to say anything. You just start giggling as soon as you see him enter a room. You're like, okay, this is gonna be funny.
Yeah, he's in Wedding Crashers. He's in Wedding Crashers for 2.5 minutes, and he steals the
my
movie.
my expectations for Hangover were lower. I didn't expect it to be as funny.
And Bradley Cooper,
really
who saw that guy
good.
coming out of nowhere and becoming a star.
Hey, quick question, Corey, because I think you'll get it.
Okay.
What year did Old School come out?
Oh, 9.
No.
Or before that.
Way before that.
2004.
You've never been that far off in your life about a trivia question, Corey.
About
I put him on the spot.
culture.
I crumbled.
Pop culture, 2009.
Oh, man, I shouldn't have done it. I thought I was throwing a softball. 03, baby.
03. Vince Vaughn being a dad, I was like, well, I guess Vince Vaughn's like 50-something years
When do you
old
think
now.
Swingers came out?
I know when that came out. 2012. Hey, so I was going to ask you guys, going back to Gene's, the winks that he used to give on the message boards. In real life, have either one of you ever given out a wink as like a flirtation move?
I thought you meant just in general. Like
No, a wink. No, I mean like literally like been at a bar, been at a party, talked to someone and gave out and threw out a wink out there. Does that happen anymore? Do you
Is that in the Jeff Cameron playbook at one point?
I think it definitely was.
I could throw a wink. I could throw a wink at a bartender that I wanted to take home. Yeah, I could. Yeah, there's something like that. Yeah, but it wasn't. You built up to the wink. There was a lot of playful dialogue prior, but both ways. And then the wink was just an assurance of, I hear you.
Both eyes? Can you do it with both eyes?
I was never going to do the double eye wink. I'm
saying, can you? Can you do it with the right eye?
Yeah, I can wink both eyes.
I can only do it with my left eye.
The guy in the stands last night with the LSU girl, you think he tried that?
You think he tried to give the wink?
Because it didn't work real well.
Yeah, he got blocked real quick. Yeah, I couldn't think about, like, winks used to be a thing, I guess. Maybe they still are, but I've never been in the context where I'm like, I'm right at the finish line.
I could
let me throw this wink in there so they know that I'm serious or that I'm interested.
Well, you strike me as similar that you want to use your words. You're a big boy.
Right.
You can use your words, but every now
I
and
would
then
say the word wink.
Bonus.
I could just say wink. I'm winking at you.
Vince Vaughn is 6'5" and 53 years old, Corey.
Man, 2003, huh? Yeah, that makes sense. I panicked in the moment. If I had given myself time to think about it.
I've seen you get rattled by trivia like that.
So Will Ferrell was still on Saturday Night Live, clearly, when that came out. Man, I blew that one. Hangover was about the same time, I would think, somewhere in there. But yeah, so I've never winked, I don't think. I certainly didn't wink at Stephanie. Didn't need to. Kept that in the tool bag.
I don't know that we weren't all friends when Swingers came out. So like, did it take over the conversations with your friends at that time?
Yeah.
Yes.
The guys I worked with. I mean, that's all. Everybody just talked like we were on Swingers.
Beautiful baby. That's all you heard was a beautiful baby.
For Swingers, everybody. 1996.
And you're so money. You're so money.
You don't even know
beautiful
it.
baby.
You don't even know it. Yeah. No, I think Old School, by the way, fast forward to 7 years after Swingers. I will tell you that I was working at Clear Channel and people were talking about it in the hallway, and I wasn't tuned in. I had no idea that this movie had come out and that it was uproariously funny. And I downloaded it one night and started instantly laughing because you have the turnaround bright eyes right from the beginning. And that's happening right off the bat. I spit a beer out. I was laughing so hard.
And his speech.
So
don't forget his best man speech.
Oh, yeah. And that's
walking in. Yeah, that's why. I mean, I guess that because I didn't think it'd only been 6 years between Swingers and Old School for Vince Vaughn. I thought he'd been gone from the comedy scene for longer than that. But I was wrong. I blew it. I have nobody to blame but myself.
2 minutes to answer a question that was in the chat prior that is sports related before we get to headliner questions for next hour. And I'll defer to you because I know you know him. I don't know him. I know of him, but Florida State did hire a new baseball coach in Micah Posey. No, he's not related to Buster Posey, but this is something a couple of people have asked us about, and I really don't know beyond his resume, which I read like everybody else.
Yeah, and he's actually related to another great Posey in baseball, Mike Posey. His dad is a longtime coach and really respected, one of the best coaches in the sate of Florida, has been doing it forever at the high school level. And Micah,
at NFC, right?
Yeah. And Micah, when he was coming up out of the high school ranks, he was a phenomenal pitcher. Went pro, probably would have had a chance to make it to the bigs, but had an injury, got into coaching. We actually talked to him this morning, and he talked about how growing up, he really wasn't planning necessarily to be a coach, but, kind of once he got done with playing and got around it, he got exposed to it. He went to work for his dad for a little bit and really has kind of fallen in love with it. And I think you think about the fact that he's only been doing it on the college level now for about 10 years. So kind of a meteoric rise. I mean, he's become really one of the really good names as pitching coaches. He started, I guess at Elon and now most recently
at East Tennessee State, buddy.
Yes,
saw
that's right.
that. We had another Etsu guy in the house.
And he's now has been at Dallas Baptist the last few years. They've obviously had a great run. And he's just produced, man. Like, that's the thing. Like, hasn't been doing it as long as some pitching coaches, but everywhere he's gone, he's gotten really good pitchers. They've developed really quickly. They've performed at a high level. And I thought it was cool. Link said that, he said that Link reached out to him even before Restano got the job as the next head coach at Navy. Once he kind of got going into that process and Link started thinking it might happen, he reached out to Micah, and they weren't like great friends, but they just run in the same circles for a long time. And Micah was definitely interested. And it's cool. It was cool if you get to watch the interview, you can watch the interview on Warchant TV from today. And you could just see how excited he is to be. He's been a Florida State fan his whole life, but he didn't play here because he went straight into pro baseball. But he's very excited to be here.
Well, he's a Florida State graduate, and he's really, really excited. And then I also think that, by the way, that guy going to Dallas Baptist, each of the last 5 years, when you look up and you see Dallas Baptist ranked in the top 10, top 15, you're like, how the hell is that? So it's not like that's a nothing program. He was doing it at an elite program.
For sure.
So it's,
He could also tell people, and more specifically recruits, that he is Buster's brother. Somebody get on his Wikipedia right now and just add that. I mean, those guys aren't going to do a ton of research.
A minute ago, when we were talking about what Florida State needs in terms of NIL infusion, Buster, if you're listening to the show, my man,
give Buster a wink.
Oh, I'll give Buster a wink. Yeah, back massage, a wink. What do you need, Buster? We got
anything.
Oh, baby, you made like $900 million out there in San Francisco, buddy. Come on. He's too modest, but maybe behind the scenes, maybe I'll get a wink from Buster, like a text right now. He'll be like, I got us.
That Tennessee closer. He's coming.
Back.
Buster.
We're back. Hour number 2, headliner questions forthcoming. Stay with.
In Tallahassee can straighten a smile, but at Birch Orthodontics, they're dedicated to providing the finest care possible. The experienced and friendly staff is trained in all of the latest techniques, so whether you need standard treatment like braces or Invisalign, or you have a more complicated case requiring extra attention, Birch Orthodontics is here for you. Set up your free consultation today by visiting birchorthodontics.com, BURCH orthodontics.com, or call 850-877-1692. At Birch Orthodontics, they create beautiful smiles that last a lifetime.
If you've been considering getting a new hot tub or upgrading your existing hot tub, now's the absolute best time to do it. Hot Spring Spas has the jets on full blast, and the prices right now have never been hotter. You can find huge savings at Pinch A Penny Pools and Spas, and we mean huge. For a limited time, you can get up to $5,000 off in instant discounts and rebates, plus 60 months no interest financing for qualified buyers. You heard that right, $5,000 in discounts. And that's not all. When you buy a hot spring spa from Pinch A Penny Pools and Spas, you'll get a free consultation to determine the best placement in your yard for installation, a free accessory of your choice, and install can be completed in just a matter of days. It's the most aggressive rebate program that's ever been available to buyers from Hot Spring Spas. So stop by Pinch A Penny Pools and Spas on Greer Road today to check out their 12,000 square foot showroom with over 50 hot tubs on site. If you're ready to relax, Pinch A Penny Pools and Spas is ready to show you how.
Now that the brutal North Florida and South Georgia winter is over, okay, we had a couple of cold snaps, but still, now is the best time to give your AC system a good cleaning. Dust can build up in your AC system, leading to higher utility bills and poor air quality. That's when it's E&B to the rescue. Our 21-point inspection and tune-up costs only $99 and gets things working their very best. So before the summer hits, get your AC spick and span. Call E&B Heating and Air Conditioning today.
A cup of Joe, Java, brew, go-go beans, brain water, liquid lightning, wakey juice, whatever you call your cup of coffee, you're missing out if it's not Grassroots Coffee. At grassrootscoffee.com, you'll find an easy way to order the best roasted coffee beans available. It's very simple. Choose the blend you want and how you want it ground, and the bag you receive will have the date your beans were roasted and packaged on it, all written by hand and signed by the roastmaster himself. You'll know that's as fresh as it gets. You can get Grassroots outside of your house also at some of your favorite restaurants in town. Next time you're out to eat, try asking for Grassroots Coffee by name, because there's a good chance they will have it for you. And if you own a business, Grassroots Coffee has options to stock your break rooms with all the productivity powder your team needs. Plus, like some other options that you'll find at work, Grassroots Coffee actually is a part of our community. Hit grassrootscoffee.com today and get yourself a treat. Some locally owned, locally roasted, and locally loved Grassroots Coffee.
Life is stressful. Dinner shouldn't be. That motto is why Register Sausage has been doing business in the Florida Panhandle and Lower Alabama for over 75 years. A proud sponsor of Seminole Headlines, Register Sausage always provides the best Southern smoked sausage to over 140 grocery stores and restaurants throughout the Southeast. Headliners have discovered the Register's difference. You can too. To find a store that carries Registers near you or to buy directly, head to registermeats.com. That's registermeats.com. Register Sausage. Yay, sausage!
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3. WVFT, Greta, Tallahassee. The latest betting odds and live movements from Vegas. This is your action update. Now here are your latest lines from our guys in the desert.
A pair of first-place teams meet at Chase Field in Phoenix today as Arizona hosts Tampa Bay. Diamondbacks first place of the AL West have Zach Gallen on the mound. He's 9-2 with a 2.84 earned run average and the $1.24 favorite over Taj Bradley and the Tampa Bay Rays, plus 106. Rays in first place in the AL East. Bradley 5-3, 3.86 earned run average, a total 8.5 shaded to the under. Braves minus 1,400 to win the National League East title. White's Elder on the hill today with the Braves, $1.50 favorite against Joe Ryan of the Twins, plus 140. 9 flat the total at Truist Park. Sign up now for your free VSiN subscription at vsin.com/subscribe. For more sports betting news and information, go to vsin.com. Mike Sennett, Real Talk 93.3.
Hey, it's me, Ruthie from Total Wine & More. You know how stores have been raising their prices lately? Well, lean into your speaker a little closer because I've got a big secret to share. Total Wine is actually lowering our prices on hundreds of wines. I know, right? And even better, our new lower prices on hundreds of wines are here to stay. But listen, don't thank me. At Total Wine, we love helping our customers save big. With the lowest prices for over 30 years, you'll always find what you love and love what you find. Only at Total Wine & More. Drink responsibly, be 21.
50% off everything is yours for a limited time through July 6th during the Endless Summer event at Banana Republic Factory. Celebrate the season with linen suiting, breezy dresses, timeless neutrals, and more. Only at your nearest Banana Republic Factory store.
Attention small business owners. Did you know you may have overpaid your payroll taxes during COVID? A 10-minute call to Omega Accounting Solutions could save you thousands. Call 800-300-9ERC or visit OmegaTaxCredit.com.
My man Eddie.
Jeff, what's happening, dude?
Bears eating people all over the place. I read another article today. It's the third one in the last month of somebody getting mauled to death by a bear.
Man, you know, bears have their own space.
Well,
you got to let them have that.
You do. You got to stay clear of bears, is what you're saying?
Yes.
I got a question for you. Here you go. If you had to be mauled to death, eaten alive by any animal in the world, which would you choose to eat you alive?
Ooh, I think maybe I'd want, I don't know, longevity time, a mouse.
Just a slow burn.
Slow burn.
This thing just finished the pinky. It's been a month.
I could go to work. I could still do my thing. I could probably live 30 years.
I thought you were going to say great white because it'd be quick, or a grizzly. We went with mouse.
Yeah, mouse.
Okay.
You know?
Mouse it is. Gordo's bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Hey, this is Dr. Ryan Finn at Finn Chiropractic. If you have a pain in the neck,
Bring them to Finn Chiropractic because neck pain, low back pain, headaches, numbness, and tingling can make your significant other or family member very irritable.
This is Dr. Shannon Lord. We developed the Phenomenal Health Exam to get to the cause of your problem. You can schedule your appointment at finnchiro.com. FENNCHIRO.com.
Whether the pain is in your neck or someone else's, come to Finn Chiropractic.
Because your chiropractor loves you and there's nothing you can do about it.
Many orthodontists in Tallahassee can straighten a smile, but at Birch Orthodontics, they're dedicated to providing the finest care possible. The experienced and friendly staff is trained in all of the latest techniques. So whether you need standard treatment like braces or Invisalign, or you have a more complicated case requiring extra attention, Birch Orthodontics is here for you. Set up your free consultation today by visiting birchorthodontics.com, BURCH orthodontics.com, or call 850-877-1692. At Birch Orthodontics, they create beautiful smiles that last a lifetime.
It's time for Seminole Headlines, featuring Warchant.com's Jeff Cameron, managing editor Ira Schofel, and senior writer Corey Clark. Your weekly dose of all things FSU, pistols, and pies starts right now. Here's Jeff Cameron.
Hour number 2, Seminole Headlines, 93.3, Real Talk Radio. Warchant TV continues. Get to headliner questions in a second there. You just heard the ad. If you were listening locally on radio here on 93.3 for our good friend Dr. Birch Orthodontics, who, once again, we always thank for helping out with the program and sponsoring us. She's the best in the business. Her staff, simply the best as well. And we believe that wholeheartedly, and that my 2 boys have gone through it. All 3 of Ira's girls have as well. And if Corey lived here, his son Brady would be going through there as well. So there it is. Birch Orthodontics.
Yeah, and the website is birchorthodontics.com, BURCH orthodontics.com. And as we've said also many times, this whole year, it's their 20th anniversary, Dr. Birch's 20th anniversary. And because of that, she's not just celebrating, she's celebrating the community by donating $20,000 to 5 local charities. And she's asking the community to match those donations as well. So if you go to birchorthodontics.com or any of the Facebook or social media pages, there's links that you can, QR codes you can use to go and you can make a contribution too.
Well, I love a good QR code, buddy. It takes 2 seconds. It's the easiest thing in the world. I love them.
The QR codes made a comeback. They were back in the day when I was at the Democrat, when Corey and I were at the Democrat.
That's right.
There was a big push for the QR codes, and we were doing all these.
You guys were
QR
ahead of
codes
your time,
and
nobody did it.
But
no.
now
you can do it on TV when you're watching a TV show and an ad pops up. You're like, "Whoa, what is that?"
I think they do it on the big screen at games and stuff.
I tell you what, one of my trips to and fro, I forgot my wallet in one of my houses. I don't remember which one. I've got too many to choose from, but I forgot my wallet, and I'm like, "Well, how am I even going to get gas? How am I going to buy anything?" Buddy,
QR code.
You don't need a wallet anymore. You go to a gas station, you scan your phone. You go to a grocery store, you scan your phone. You can scan. I mean, it just doesn't matter anymore. You don't need wallets, folks.
Because they know where you are at all times.
Yeah.
They do that. Yeah,
they got us. By the way, before we get to all the questions, I will note P. Simpson, our man, says that he's currently sitting in standstill traffic in good old McDonough, which he referenced as Corey's hometown, and said, Jeff and Ira, what's your favorite McDonough moment? So many to choose from and lots of time to think about it, too, while you're there in McDonough.
It makes no sense in McDonough. There are outlet malls there, but it makes no sense no matter what time of day, coming or going, you are always going to be at a standstill in McDonough, Georgia. It makes no sense. Even if you have the Peach Pass sometimes, because it goes the wrong way. It's an express lane that when you're stuck, it's coming this way. It's just awful.
Frustrating. Marcus writes, does Lincoln Riley get the same amount of ire at OU that Jimbo did at FSU? Seems like he has largely dodged the hate that Jimbo receives, but acted similarly in his departure. Took his strongest player with him to boot. How did he avoid the OU anger? Thanks, Chins. Well, I can answer that one a little bit, Marcus. I'll tell you how he avoided it. Here are his seasons at Oklahoma: 12-1, 12-2, 12-2, 10-2, 12-2. He didn't go 5-6 and then badmouth the university on his way out the door and lie about it.
I still don't think Oklahoma fans were upset that when they lose games. I don't think they're rooting for Lincoln Riley.
No, but I think there's an obvious answer.
Yeah, but
he finished first, and third.
Yeah.
I mean,
it stunk, but it stunk much more the way Urban Meyer left Florida and the way Jimbo left Florida State. It hurts when you have a successful.
I don't know, man.
It's much worse when he's driving your program into a mountain and then leaves.
I get that part of it. But Lincoln Riley not only left Oklahoma in the lurch, but then took their best player and like 10 of their best players and a lot of their big time.
They weren't happy about it.
Yeah, they're not holding a parade.
I don't think Bob Stoops was happy about it, because they've kind of orchestrated everything for Lincoln Riley to get that job the way they did it. And then he bounced. Yeah, I don't think they were happy. I just think it's a little different level.
It's a different level.
Urban did at Florida. And
Oklahoma people aren't exactly sitting around, saying great things about Lincoln Riley for sure. But again, it's a little bit easier to take when you're winning 12 games and winning the conference every single year.
And then he leaves and they go 6-7. Now, hey, everyone, you get to go to the SEC.
Come on, Brent Venables. Let's go. Thought you were
get it done,
coach
Venables.
Extraordinaire. What are you doing over here, half-stepping? Yeah, it's ugly. Does the football facility have the funding it needs to be completed or not, guys? I like that question.
The funding, or is it paid for?
They're financing
it.
They're financing it, guys. They're not coming out of pocket for that sucker.
Yeah, it's. I think the donations by the end of it, I think maybe half of it will be through. Close to half of it will be through donations. But the rest of it's going to be financed, and they're going to have to pay it off over 20 years at a cool 5.5% is what I think they're talking about.
Yeah. I think people get nervous about it because they haven't seen a lot of action over there. They're not, but you will this year going into the stadium.
The major construction is going to start in September. And they've been going back and forth, on the final plans, but the financing now I think the board of governors has to approve it, which was a formality. Then they'll really start construction in September, and it'll be ready for the 2025 season is what the plan is.
Well, and they did a really good job with that ditch in between the practice field and the baseball stadium. They crushed that thing. That thing looked great.
The piping. You had to get the water and the piping. Had to do it, buddy. Had to do it. We got to see every ounce of that construction and that digging, buddy. We got to go out there every day.
I never saw any workers there. I did see the ditch and the pipes.
Once the pipes were in the ground, Corey, time was up. That was it. They needed to just wait until they got the rest of the approving that they needed. So that's what that is. Why is everybody, writes Burke, so spooked over UF's big recruiting weekend when it was obviously a PSYOP NIL payoff? Could FSU be playing the long game here with recruiting and keeping things more low key?
Yeah, don't say everybody, because we weren't freaked out.
Yeah, we weren't freaking out.
I just don't. I think they're I think it's two separate things. Florida State wasn't going to just ask kids, hey, can you commit now? Because Florida had this run.
We're not following Florida's cue. They're 6-6, guys. 6-7. Sorry.
Yeah,
but
lost that 7th game.
Yeah, I think there's two separate issues. The one is some people who look at the fact that the rankings, Florida State slipped in recruiting rankings and said, well, I don't want to be 15. I want to be top 5 because that's where we feel like we should be after a 10-3 season. And some of the players are involved with. But I think what I would encourage you to do, though, is look at the guys they've got committed, which I think it's a really good group of kids they've got committed. The kids they're involved with and are likely to get, which is some really good players, even on the defensive side of the ball. They haven't committed yet, but if you get Charles Lester, if you get some of these defensive linemen that they're involved with, then now all of a sudden that's going to be a really good class. And then the one or two positions I know people are sort of freaking out about is defensive end or defensive line and linebacker. I don't think they're going to sign a lot of linebackers. They only, they lose your 2 starters, Tatum Bethune and Kalen DeLoach, but they don't lose anybody else. And this is a defense that doesn't play a lot of linebackers. So I would be, they have 1 linebacker committed. Maybe they get 1 or 2 more, but it's not like they're going to go out and sign a ton of linebackers. And they're involved with some really good defensive linemen. We'll see if they get them.
Well, the defensive end is what I'm excited about. And the offensive line, defensive line, you and I talked about this yesterday. They get those guys. We'll be all right. We'll see. The linebacker situation will play itself out. Next question is, you can only eat 1 fast food menu item for every meal for a month straight. What would it be? Now, Scott gives us an example. Big Mac, Whopper, chicken nuggets, etc. It certainly wouldn't be chicken nuggets. But go for it, Ira. You lead.
So that's the only thing you can eat, or you have to eat?
You can only eat 1 fast food menu item for every meal for a month straight.
It might be chicken nuggets, buddy.
Because it's light enough.
You can't eat hamburgers for every meal.
Well, I don't even know that chicken nuggets are really chicken.
No, they're not.
So
for the most part,
I think the burgers are like real meat.
Allegedly.
That's a tough one. You know what gets it was I haven't had it in years, but it's really underrated in my book is the Burger King chicken sandwich.
Yeah, the long one.
Yeah, the
old school chicken sandwich.
The old school chicken sandwich. I think it's underrated.
I can't. I'm having a hard time narrowing it down. I love the French dip and Swiss at Arby's, but I don't eat it anymore.
Good call.
But I just love being able to dip things and stuff.
Especially au jus sauce.
Calm down, Ira.
Au jus sauce.
But also, I love au jus.
Yeah, au jus.
But I think my immediate answer is sausage egg McMuffin from McDonald's. Clearly from McDonald's, the McMuffin part. I love those things. I don't eat them a lot because I'm not up in time sometimes. But man, when was the last time y'all had a sausage egg McMuffin? Ira, you probably wouldn't eat it.
Years and years and years. I don't think. Yeah, it's been a long time.
I did
incredible.
Like the bacon, egg, and cheese croissant sandwich from Burger King.
The croissant sandwich was the deal back in the day. By the way, you could get that at Dunkin' Donuts, the sausage, egg, and cheese on a croissant.
All right.
Buddy.
Well, you can get a sausage egg McMuffin from McDonald's, and it's glorious. It's the best. That's the whole thing when I was arguing about wanting McDonald's to be 24-hour breakfast or serve breakfast all day. It's for that. It's great. When done right, unbelievable. No can defend.
You know what? You have sold me on this. I don't think I've ever had one. And I'm now going to get one because I got to hear what it is you're prattling on about. I got to taste what it is you're prattling on about.
I think it speaks to the difference in our culture, though. You're more of a biscuit McMuffin guy.
Mm-hmm.
We're croissant guys. We're
a little bit more sophisticated.
Wearing your berets. I got it.
A little bit more sophisticated. Yeah. Marlon writes, "Hello, gents. At least UF baseball can chant SEC." But really. But once the 12-team playoffs are here, will the NCAA finally pay players a base pay above making us fans pay in the form of these collectives? Love the show. Ooh.
I mean, there are some people who think that's definitely coming, then there's some people who say it's not coming. So it's there's no way to know. I mean, there's definitely a school of thought that within a few years that will be the move that. College athletes and at least the profit producing sports, football, men's basketball, maybe a couple other sports, those players will become like employees. There are other people who say that should never happen and will never happen. So we have to see. But it's a fair question though, because the way it is right now, I think fans do feel like I've got to pay these collectives
so that my team can compete. Yeah. Ryan writes, "Hello, gentlemen. Jeff, since LSU humiliated the Lizards last night, could we get a Brian Kelly Southern style thoughts on the game?" No, but I will say Ira and I soon enough can bring back the flea flicker.
That's right.
We will. It'll be time for the flea flicker. What if he breaks it out of the LSU game again this year? How cool would it be if it happened again? Marcus, already read you. Adam, in honor of the dumbest thing ESPN televises, now that Packer and Durham are off the air.
Oh, yikes. Come on now.
Go for it, Adam. What would be the register sausage to hot dog ratio for the 4th of July eating contest? Does, example, 8 sausages equal 10 hot dogs? Who would win out of the 3 of you? I got to be honest. I will bite the bullet here. Corey's too skinny to eat much of anything anymore.
Right.
Ira's decorum won't allow him to do that. He's too
proud.
And so for me, I could stuff 10 hot dogs. I could do it quickly.
Would you do the dunking in water technique?
No, that's disgusting.
How would disgusting?
It bothers me every time I see it. I don't watch it anymore. I saw it one time. I was like, I can't do it.
Ever watch it.
I can't.
Well, and the thing is it ruins. I mean, Chestnut is obviously one of the best athletes of our lifetimes.
It's amazing,
and it just ruins it when he's got wet hot dog jowls, wet hot dog chunks all over his jowls. It's disgusting. It is absolute. If it was I don't know how anybody watches it. It's just I'll watch the Sports Center wrap up when it says Joey Chestnut, 91 hot dogs, new world record. I'm not watching 10 minutes of him doing that.
I can't do it. By the way, Adam, your bonus question to me, what's my favorite song off the new Isbell album? White Beretta is my favorite song off the
What's
new
yours,
Isbell
Ira?
album.
You didn't ask you. What's yours?
Red Beretta.
Oh, yeah, the other. Yeah,
mine was track 6. I can't remember the name of it, but track 6 is good. And I was going to say, so how many registered sausages would equal one of those Coney Island hot dogs?
I feel like half of a registered sausage.
Yeah, it's going to be 2 hot dogs to 1 registered sausage.
Somewhere in that.
So I think that's probably right.
Also, if you're a registered sausage customer and we catch you dipping it into water and shoving it into your gullet, you're not a customer anymore. We don't want you.
No.
Take that over to Johnsonville or whatever other sausage, Jimmy Dean.
Yeah, we're not fostering that kind of backwoods nonsense around here. It's not what we do. Brandon writes, let's change topics for a moment. What do you think about FSU basketball's offseason? He's worried about addressing point guard and is worried about NIL and all that. Well, Ira and I have certainly had this conversation quite a bit. I don't know. It's going to be a revamped same thing we've done before.
They have a bunch of point guards. I don't think that's a big.
Yeah, that's not the issue. They're not going to be great. It's just not going to be great.
They got 3 guys out of the portal. They wanted to get 4. They've been in the running for a few other big men and haven't gotten them. I mean, I think they're a team that they'll be I think they'll be much better than they were last year.
They have to be, buddy.
Whether or not they can be a tournament team, we'll have to see. I mean,
and the kid from Brown got his year, right? So he's eligible. Jalen Gainey.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's a big deal. I mean, that is a big deal. Look, they'll be better defensively they have to be. They have that kid who will help a lot. And they got rid of some guys that maybe I shouldn't say got rid of. Some guys left that maybe weren't great for team culture or team chemistry. I think they'll be a more enjoyable team to watch and cheer for, likable. But
that would be my advice to people going into the season is that you'd like to see the chemistry be a whole lot better. You'd like to see this be a team that plays together.
I hated watching them last year. Hated it.
You'd like to see all of that return, have a much better product on the court, and see what happens. If they don't make the tournament, if they're not successful this season, it's probably going to be the end of the road for Leonard Hamilton. And that is what it is. But I don't think this isn't like the start of a new process where they're going to get 3 or 4 years to figure this out. They either have success this year or not, but no matter what, you just want to see them play better and play harder.
I desperately want to see a more likable product and like you're saying, guys who can play well together. And then obviously I'm rooting hardcore for them and that staff. I'd like to see Leonard, when he does decide to walk away, do so after a winning season, make the tournament. I mean, I don't know what his long-term plans are. I know what I think about what Florida State needs to be thinking about over the next 2 to 3 years. I do know, though, that also we're all rooting for that guy to finish out on a winning season, go to the tournament. You do that, be a happy ending. Seminole Headlines, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV continues in a moment.
It's me, Mac and More, spokesperson for Tallahassee's favorite Apple and Mac product store, Mac and More. We all know what Mac is all about. It's your MacBooks, iMacs, Apple Watch, iPhones, iPads. We've all got them. But what's really cool is the and more. And there's a lot more at Mac and More. They can help set up your new gear, migrate and back up your data, teach you new tricks, and how to use everything better. And if something costs too much to fix, they'll tell you the truth. There's a lot more at Mac and More. See for yourself at macandmoresystems.com. Or you can take it from me, Mr. Mac and More.
This is Kyle, Service Manager from Barano Heating and Air. Schedule an appointment from your mobile device to learn about our Total Comfort Service Program. With guaranteed same-day service, 15% off necessary repairs, and $25 berry books to use towards air filters and other products. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air. Any day, anytime, anywhere. Online at baranoac.com.
Florida license CAC 1816-186.
Hey, this is your stomach speaking. It's time to eat again. We met deadlines and closed out the workday like a boss. The last thing you want to do is cook dinner. Even worse, pick up any fast food garbage. We need something good, something local. We need foodiestakeout.com. An all-star lineup of local spots like Smitty's Tap House, El Jalisco, Terry's Cafe, Hangar 38, Metro Deli, and more. It's so easy. Just choose pickup or delivery, and let's eat the good stuff. I'm growling already. Visit foodiestakeout.com.
It's all too obvious. We're being distracted by meaningless news headlines. When you dig to find the truth, you discover that the American way of life is being threatened by the institutions we used to trust. It's easy to see the future holds more food shortages, systematic controls, and government overreach. But instead of throwing up their hands, folks are preparing. They're taking steps to be self-reliant and investing in emergency food storage. My Patriot Supply, the nation's largest emergency preparedness company, makes it easy to get started and join the ranks with this limited time offer. Go to mypatriotsupply.com and get their top-selling 4-week emergency food kit. Enjoy tasty breakfasts, lunches, and dinners averaging over 2,000 calories per day. Get new lower pricing this week on these 4-week emergency food kits. Secure at least one food kit for each member of your family. They ship free, too. Those who know what's coming are preparing. Smart folks. Go to mypatriotsupply.com right now. mypatriotsupply.com.
There's no doubt that buying a home can feel overwhelming, especially if it's your first home. You're worried about location, school zones, square footage, inspections, insurance, loan approvals, interest rates, and of course, the price. Buying a home could be the most significant investment you've ever made. But there's good news. You have our friends at Legendary Home Loans, and they're on your side and in your corner. They're going to go to bat for you. Shannon Young from Legendary Home Loans can help first-time home buyers get up to $25,000 for your down payment. For first responders, veterans, teachers, military, and healthcare workers, and that's not all, Shannon is an expert navigator of the home loan terrain, and you can trust that he's going to get you the most competitive interest rates and guide you through the process every step of the way. Plus, Shannon will also get your closing costs reduced. It's the Hometown Heroes program at Legendary Home Loans. Give them a call today, 844-FSU-LOAN. That's 844-FSU-LOAN. Or go to FSUHomeLoans.com and ask for Shannon Young.
NMLS number 2270-146.
Life is stressful. Dinner shouldn't be. That motto is why Register Sausage has been doing business in the Florida Panhandle and Lower Alabama for over 75 years. A proud sponsor of Seminole Headlines, Register Sausage always provides the best Southern smoked sausage to over 140 grocery stores and restaurants throughout the Southeast. Headliners have discovered the Register's difference. You can too. To find a store that carries Registers near you or to buy directly, head to registermeats.com. That's registermeats.com. Register Sausage. Yay, sausage!
Seminole Headlines returns now. Head to YouTube and search for Warchant TV today to catch the show live or on demand. Now, here's Jeff Cameron, Ira Schofel, and Corey Clark.
Sean writes, I agree with Jeff in explaining our baseball woes in the postseason in the past with that's just baseball. But how would you explain a team winning 7 national championships in a 30-plus year span with 3 different coaches? Are they just the luckiest program in the last 30 years, or there is something to this? Oh, there's definitely something to it. I mean, the investment in baseball at LSU, just like it was at USC back in the day and Texas and Miami, is legendary. I think LSU did get a little bit of luck in there. The Warren Morris walk-off, guy hit 1 home run all year long, and it happened to be to walk off the Miami Hurricanes in the championship game one year. I mean, it does happen, but no, there's no explaining away why LSU is really, really good. They've had Skip Bertman is an all-time great coach, really one of the legends of the game, did a wonderful job in recruiting. And when they got chances to cash it in, they most of the time cashed it in.
That goes back to the same conversation about 11, was that, you know, a good program gets there repeatedly. And then
had they won 1 or 2, we wouldn't be. Yeah, he came up short too many times for that to be something that didn't bother the fan base. Now, listen, back in the day, I will tell you, my biggest criticism of Mike Martin in the 90s when he had loaded teams that he took out to Omaha is they played punch and judy baseball once they got out there in a sport where people had loaded weapons in their hand. I mean, those games were 19-18 out in Omaha for years, and he's out here bunting people over. And you've got freaking J.D. Drew and Jeremy Morris. And, you know, I mean, there was that used to drive me nuts. I thought that was a legitimate criticism for years. Breaking down fundamental wood bat baseball in Omaha, where everything is 16-10. I never deflected that criticism from him. I brought that criticism to him on the air, but I also know that he got really unlucky several times.
I didn't realize, I just looked it up while y'all were talking, that I mean, I say they've only been out there 19 times, LSU. And their first one was 86, which was the year that Florida State got to the championship game and lost
to Arizona.
But so they've won 7 and lost 12. That is an incredible hit rate for a team that goes out there. Like Texas, I think, has won probably 4 and lost 38. It's really hard to win out there. But I do wonder, I don't understand what it is about Baton Rouge and LSU fandom, but why are there so many people out there? How do they get so many fans?
No, they
to
made
go to
that
Omaha.
Because, and you've been to Baton Rouge.
It's crazy. It's nuts.
It's an awesome scene. It's an awesome scene, and there's no doubt when you have 20,000 or 18,000 people in the stands at your home games, and they're passionate as hell.
No, I'm talking about Omaha. How do they get so many of them?
He's saying it's a continuation.
It's a continuation of that, and they travel out there, and listen. By the way, go to Omaha. I'm talking just generally to people out there. Go to Omaha in a year where Florida State doesn't go out there, or that LSU doesn't go out there, and guess what you're going to find? A bunch of LSU fans in Omaha, even though they're not there. Yeah. Like the team's not there, and they're there welcoming other fan bases to their tailgate. It's the cause du jour at LSU. They love it, and that's cool. And I do think that breeds the kind of success that we're talking about here, where they're all in all the time.
Well, and the other thing about that state, and the reason I think Jimbo Fisher desperately wanted that job, is because it is the school. I mean, you've got some smaller schools, but you don't have three huge universities like you do in Florida that split the fan base. And I think that's part of it also. LSU, if you're from Louisiana, LSU is it.
And you're all in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. I will just say this about
it's commendable, though, right? It is commendable how they support that baseball program. It really is.
Damn right. It's awesome. I use this to your point, Ira. I was once courted for a job, and I'm not doing this. Is not humble brag or anything like that. I was courted for a job by a company that was out of Michigan. And anyhow, this guy was like, I want to bring what we're doing in Michigan down to the state of Florida, and I want you to be the host. And I said, well, we got a problem because, well, that sounds awesome, and I'm flattered that you're offering me this position. You do realize that everybody in Michigan roots for the Tigers, everybody in Michigan roots for the Michigan Wolverines, and everybody roots for the Red Wings. So any part of Michigan you go to, let's say it's a syndicated show that I'd be hosting, they all root for the same exact team. Now, you're going to want me to host this show in the afternoons in the state of Florida. Well, buddy, that's going to work in Tallahassee, but the people down in Miami don't give a rat's ass what's happening up here, and they don't care about the Gators either, and it goes that way across the state, depending on where you are. Now, I feel like I'd be able to do a good show that way, but those are two entirely different things, and I think that's to your point. In Louisiana, man, they are all in on all things LSU all the time, and you're right. If you're a coach and you know that, and they have money,
Brian Kelly left Notre Dame to go there.
Dog, right? He did, right? He knows that was the only thing missing at Notre Dame was like, well, I don't know, man. I have a much better chance to win a national championship at LSU than I do Notre Dame. That's the reality. It's also why Link couldn't wait to get the hell out of South Bend. Not just because Florida State is where he played and was an All-American and he grew up here in Tallahassee. Those were big reasons. But you can't win out there. It was kind of a miracle that he did.
Crazy women's basketball coach went to LSU from Baylor. I mean, it's
By the way, those numbers on the Jell-O shots really play out. I mean, that's crazy how many Jell-O shots the LSU fans drank out there. Good times. And those
Jell-O shots kind of suck.
Yeah, they kind of do, but I'm just saying, a representative of that stadium last night with those Jell-O shots and the results, man, good times.
How about an old-fashioned? Can they do like an old-fashioned?
Drink 30,000 old-fashions.
Just saying.
Dead people in the streets of Omaha.
How about Mio's and vodka?
Yeah. Good grief.
Like
Let's
a man.
do some
Like
people
a
can,
man,
yeah, like
right,
a man's drink.
Oh, man. Will we control the line of scrimmage versus LSU, considering what we both have? I think if we run the ball effectively, play action will once again break their backs. That's from Chris. Hey, that's why I love this test. I think, though, you want to get early, I guess, recognition whether or not you're physically tough enough on both sides of the line of scrimmage. Both teams get to test themselves in that way because they both bring a ton to the table. And I think both coaches are going to want to be very, very physical. I think both coaches are going to want to run the football some. Now, again, modern offensive football, everybody spreads you out and throws the ball. But, yeah, I think they're going to get both teams will get a hell of a test.
I don't think you're going to dominate or own the line of scrimmage.
Right.
I mean, I think if you hold your own on both sides of the line of scrimmage, well, I think Florida State's defensive line should have the edge. But if the offensive line holds its own against LSU's defensive front, I think you consider that a win. And because of your skill in quarterback play, that's all you need.
And you kind of did last year, right? Like LSU, the only rushing yards they had was Jaden Daniels, which they count. I mean, those were scrambles. Though their design run game did nothing because that was the Florida State defensive line that was the healthiest it was all season.
Right.
That was with a healthy / dominant Fabian Lovett. I think you can control the running game of LSU, but man, you're not going to block them for 4 quarters. That's a talented defensive front. They're going to make some plays on you.
Yeah, I think it's neutralized for both teams, and then that's where both quarterbacks have the ability to make guys miss, and this is why you just anticipate this being one of the great games we see all season. It was incredible last year. Shouldn't have been. Florida State probably should have run away with that thing. Blew opportunities. I do think the winning a game like that where you tried to give it away and you pissed away red zone opportunities to blow them out, obviously, it saved, in a weird way, it kind of led to the season they had and saved their season. You saw the look on Mike Norvell's face after the game. He recognized, oh, my God. Yeah, he looked like a little kid. Like, he had been given permission to celebrate. But it was, to learn from that was really important. And I think that they will have that in their favor in all these big games they play this year. There's only really 2 big games. But to get where they want to go, they'll play 3 or 4 big games, an ACC championship game and a college football playoff game if they get there. That you have to survive something like that, learn from your mistakes and learn how to handle those moments. They had a lot of moments last year. And we may lament the fact that they were having these moments against Florida, who's 6-6, or Oklahoma, who's 6-6, but they still had to come through in the pinch, under pressure, in primetime games with a lot on the line. And I think you grow from that. I mean, there's no doubt you grow from that. So that's, I don't know, just a side rant. But I have a suggestion. The quote on the Seminole Headlines Maryland shirt should include who said it. Corey Clark, do you want the credit for that? We'll add a new batch of shirts with your name next to it.
Well, it does say my name, doesn't it?
I don't know.
I can't remember.
Oh, maybe the new one on the Shopify. Ira, what's that deal again to get your Seminole Headline shirts? What's the address?
SeminoleHeadlines.myshopify.com.
There you go. We get Seminole Headline shirts. I thought it said my name on it, but if it doesn't, the first one, the first iteration did. It did say my name on it, and then it had the box score on the back. So yeah, you guys all know who said it. You don't need to single me out.
He doesn't need that kind of credit. He knows. Scotty writes, coming off the heels of last night's championship drubbing, I think it's a good time to again ask why O'Sullivan is still the head coach at UF. Not even the Jeff Cameron Show PR firm would touch that situation from 2021, yet he's still there. Well, I'll just say this about that, Scotty. We all knew of that situation. I think, oddly, the country's just finding out about that situation. When all of that went down a couple years back, it was hideous. It was not even something I wanted to talk about. It involves tragedy and murder and suicide and all this other stuff. And just, yeah. It speaks for itself.
Is this something I need to Google? Because I don't remember. I don't know what you're talking
about.
We'll fill you in off
okay.
here. O'Sullivan situation. Yeah. It's not a good one, man. He's not a good dude.
All right.
And I will just say this. It did lead directly, and we'll get it back on the field. 2 years ago, they got pasted at their home regional by like a bum. They gave up like 19 runs. When all that was going on, everybody was like, what is happening in Gainesville? Well, that's what was happening. The team was quitting on him. And it is a miracle he survived it. That's all I'll say.
And these kids still go there.
It's surprising. Seminole Headlines, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV continues in a moment.
Local news now.
Thomas County Sheriff's Office and Georgia State Patrol are asking for the community's help in solving a hit-and-run incident that left one man dead Saturday night in Thomasville. Around 9:39 p.m. Saturday, officers responded to a possible hit-and-run. The incident occurred at the intersection of U.S. Highway 319 North and Doran Drive. Marvin Sylvester Graham was found laying on the roadway due to being hit by an unknown vehicle. He was pronounced dead by emergency medical services. Anyone with information regarding this incident is advised to contact the Thomas County Sheriff's Office at 229-225-3300. The Jackson County Sheriff's Office is investigating a fatal shooting in Sneads. According to law enforcement, the shooting happened Friday night around 6:30 p.m. The Sheriff's Office reports one person was shot dead inside a home on Little Zion Road. Authorities said no arrests have been made and an investigation is underway. This is Rachel Anay with the Real Talk 93.3 Local News Update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. A heat advisory continues until 8 p.m. tonight. Chance for scattered thunderstorms this afternoon. Otherwise, a blend of clouds and sun. Highs level off around 96. West winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Lows dip down to about 75 tonight. Chance for scattered storms. Highs around 97 tomorrow. Mainly sunny skies. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 95.
Hi, this is Jamie McClenny from Trek Financial in Tallahassee. Managing downside risk in your portfolio is one of the biggest challenges that you'll face in retirement. Trillions of dollars in stimulus from the Federal Reserve and D.C. politicians, combined with zero interest rates, have propped up financial markets since the financial crisis ended in 2009. The Fed recently ended quantitative easing and has started to raise interest rates at a time when the global economy was already slowing. Have you considered what another 50% correction in the stock market would do to your retirement plan? If you're concerned about where this all might be headed and would like to find out about the potential benefits of an active risk management strategy for your portfolio, give me a call at 850-900-5200 and schedule a time for a review of your portfolio from an active risk management perspective.
Make Jamie your first call for a second opinion. Investment advisory services are offered through Trek Financial, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
Life is stressful. Dinner shouldn't be. That motto is why Register Sausage has been doing business in the Florida Panhandle and Lower Alabama for over 75 years. A proud sponsor of Seminole Headlines, Register Sausage always provides the best Southern smoked sausage to over 140 grocery stores and restaurants throughout the Southeast. Headliners have discovered the Register's difference. You can too. To find a store that carries Registers near you or to buy directly, head to registermeats.com. That's registermeats.com. Register Sausage. Yay, sausage!
Seminole Headlines returns now. Head to YouTube and search for Warchant TV today to catch the show live or on demand. Now, here's Jeff Cameron, Ira Schofel, and Corey Clark.
MLB is in full swing with MyBookie, and they want to be your one-stop shop for all betting needs with a wide range of betting options, including money lines, run totals, futures. MyBookie gives you plenty of ways to bet on your favorite teams and players. You can also take advantage of the brand new MyBookie Money Bag, which gives you the chance to secure a bet on your favorite team or player at insanely boosted odds. Sign up today at MyBookie. Use the promo code WARCHANT to secure a first deposit bonus of up to $1,000. Pretty simple, really. Deposit $200, play with $300 instantly. Just use promo code WARCHANT to claim your bonus. So if you're a baseball fan looking to add even more excitement to the new season, look no further than MyBookie. Sign up now and get ready to experience the thrill of baseball betting like never before. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere. MyBookie. You betting a lot these days, Ira, with Baltimore dominating the standings?
I should be. I have a couple buddies who tell me that as soon as they see the line, the Orioles, they're
boom,
hammering the Orioles. Isn't a bad idea, buddy.
It's pretty cool. Nathaniel writes, I felt that a number of national programs like Oregon or Oklahoma have leaned in the direction of offense at the expense of defense as a competitive advantage versus the majority of their peers. It's admittedly hard to compete stylistically with the UGAs and Bamas of the world. Do you guys think that Mike, an offensive guy first and foremost, is leaning us that way here, as perhaps signaled by some of the personnel decisions in his time in Tallahassee? P.S. July 4th, dip in the pool and Register's dogs on the grill. Do it. There you go.
Nice.
Well done,
Nice
Nathaniel.
work.
I don't know that any coach, even if he was, all coaches have a bent, depending on what side of the ball they're on. They grew up learning those schemes and thinking about that style of football. But I don't think any coach would say that, oh, no, at the expense of the other side of the ball, we're going to do this, this, and this.
And also, I think Jimbo is one of the rare offensive coordinators who wanted to win defensively. I think that's why Saban liked him so much.
Yeah.
Jimbo's all about winning a game 16-13. Mike Norvell, I think, likes to put up points. I mean, it's an offense built for playmakers. He wants to. That's his thing. I mean, that's his secret sauce is he's done tremendously well on offense throughout his career. He schemes it up well. He knows how to coach it well. He knows how to develop players well. And that's what he's going to continue to do. But that doesn't mean he doesn't care about the other side of the ball.
Most coaches would speak to some sort of form of complementary football. I do think that there is a tendency now for more coaches to admit that the game is because of the rules.
Right.
So offensively minded that you better be elite on offense. You got to be elite on offense because teams are going to score against your defense no matter how good it is, unless you have a transcendent season like Georgia did 2 years ago. But like Georgia's defense last year was really good, but they had a couple of games last year where they got lit up.
Yeah. Ohio State, if they don't screw around their last possession, Ohio State wins the national championship. So, yeah, I think it's kind of like you have to be able to shoot in college basketball. You can't just be a team that pounds it in the post.
Nobody can in that entire sport, but you're right.
You have to have shooters. You have to have you have to be able to make 8 or 10 3-pointers a game. You have to. But also, Oregon, what choice does Oregon have? There's not a lot of defensive linemen out there on the West Coast. There's not a lot of defensive linemen in Oregon.
And that's the hardest thing. The hardest thing to do is get elite first-round pick NFL defensive linemen.
You're in the right part of the country. You're in the right part of the country to get them.
Yeah, I do think you can play a very good brand of defense here. I do think he wants to do that. I think he understands clearly the importance of defensive line. I mean, you look at what they've brought in now on this defensive line. I think they're really good in the interior. I think they can have 2+ players on the edge. I don't think there's a lot of depth behind that, but I think that's good enough if they're healthy to be better than most of the teams you face throughout the course of this season. It could come back to haunt you that you're not deep enough at some other places, but that's not until you get into those, late season games like the college football playoff or the ACC championship. I mean, this schedule, that's the other thing. We've talked a lot about why everybody's so high on Florida State. Well, let's be honest. They've got their 2 toughest games within the first 4. They ought to stomp everybody else's ass. This schedule's weak. I mean, just say it. It's a weak schedule. So you have two really good teams. If you go 1-1 in those games, you ought to go 11-1. I mean, you'll be favored in every one of those other games.
Right.
Yeah.
You agree, Corey? Yeah.
Amen. Amen, brother. I agree.
Should the regional be the floor for the baseball team with the new additions, writes John?
I mean, I think a regional.
You got to get to a regional.
It should be the floor for Florida State baseball. I think we all understand this was a very difficult situation they inherited, and then they lost their best pitcher by far.
We didn't know the floor could look like this at Florida State. This was like a dungeon underneath a basement that we found for the floor of Florida State baseball.
When you've been
there's another. Where did that
lever?
When you've been to 44 straight postseason appearances,
at some point it ends.
Yeah, but you don't say, oh well, we'll wait 3 or 4 more years to get back.
No.
They want to get back quickly. Can they? I mean, we'll have to see.
Henry, so I'm going to do these 3 rapid fire because they're all kind of fun and they all involve recruiting, and we want to get through the recruiting talk as quickly as possible. So here you go. But they're all kind of fun this way. All right.
Let me take this first one.
All right. Well, I'm gonna. Well, you don't want to hear me read all 3.
Go ahead. Sorry.
All right. When these commitments start dropping, what will the fan base complain about then?
Okay.
Jeff, Corey, and Baghdad Ira. June OVs are finished, and we have no new commitments. Is everything still going to be all right?
No, it's a disaster. It's over. Start cheering for another team. They're never going to get another commitment.
What's more likely? Noles go 15-0 and win the national title. The fan base musters up a crumb of patience for football recruiting. And an African-American gentleman named Jerry suits up for FSU.
Well, we know that has never happened.
So there you go. They're the 3 groupings. I like that. They all kind of come from a different angle, but they're all involving the lack of patience and concern and everything. But Baghdad Ira is awesome. I love that he threw that in there.
It is pretty good. Here's the thing. And you guys, look, you guys.
Hey, man, we're on your side. We agree with you.
But here's the thing. I think I'm trying to think of the best way how to put this.
Oh, he's being delicate. Here we go.
Here's the thing. There's the 2 best ways to get interest in your content, whether it's writing or podcasting or anything, is to say everything is unbelievably great,
right?
Or everything's terrible.
Take a page out of Corey's hyperbole book.
Either everything's great, or everything's terrible, and you need to be worried. It's going to be panicked.
It can't be in the middle.
It can't be in the middle. When the reality is, man,
it's in the middle.
It's usually in the middle. So when I am usually going to be in the middle, that may seem like I'm Baghdad Ira, that I'm telling you it's not bad.
Everything is fine here.
Nothing to see.
Everything is not, because it's been 2 weeks now. It's back to the Monday Smash with Aslan and I, Tom and I think with Jeff and I've done it when I've gone on your show. People want to freak out about recruiting, and my pushback is
there's nothing to see.
Well,
here.
You guys are the same people that told me Ron Dugans was a complete incompetent and could never sign a good receivers, and the same people that say Chris Thompson couldn't sign good tight ends. And now here we are. So that's why I'm going to push back a little bit on the people who say it's all over. Also, when they lived in the portal, you can't just live in the portal. Well, guess what? They're probably going to go to the playoff this year by really doing well in the portal.
There you go, Ira. Calling a playoff.
Playoff bound.
I just think
there's a shot.
I'm pushing back to the people who tell you that they're on one side.
Yeah. You're pointing out the extremes are not applicable here. Now, there might come a date where you go, okay,
that's what I said.
Getting very, very disconcerting.
That's what I said.
Yes.
You just had this really good weekend, and you think you've got some kids committed. If the summer goes and those kids didn't commit,
we got an issue.
Now there's a problem.
Yeah.
But there's a difference between committing and announcing. So Florida State coaches might be like, we are right where we want to be. Just nothing is public yet. We got some winks. Throw a wink to the camera so people know. People know what's coming. Can you do a wink?
I'm watching. It's not good for radio, but let's see if Ira winks.
I tried to throw Jeff a wink earlier during the break.
He was letting me know.
Come on, do the wink.
He didn't pick up what I was dropping.
No, I was.
Ira, are you going to do a wink to the camera?
He won't do it. He's not a show pony. He's not having you.
He's not a dancing clown.
You're going to do the. You gonna do the music for him again so he can wink on our way to break?
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
It's the final break. We'll wrap up with more questions in a moment. Seminole Headlines, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. There's some winks.
That was creepy.
Stations full of passion and flavor at Café de Martín and El Bar, a one-of-a-kind culinary and cocktail concept created by classically trained chef Martín Araujo. This summer, escape to your own Peruvian paradise in the capital city and experience handcrafted, colorful, refreshing cocktails like the Chilcano de Maracuyá, made with authentic pisco, mixed with lime juice, passion fruit, a splash of ginger ale, and bitters. Or enjoy a classic pisco sour made from grapes produced in the nutrient-rich lands of Peru. At Café de Martín and El Bar, everything is handmade from fresh ingredients con amor y pasión, with love and passion. From the moment you open the doors, you're immersed in the culture and transported to Tallahassee's only upscale Peruvian culinary experience, full of surprises with every dish and every drink. It's Café de Martín and El Bar on Capitol Circle Northeast in the Esposito Shopping Center. Open Monday through Saturday for lunch, happy hour, and dinner. Online at cafedemartin.com.
Someone who thought texting was a better idea than stopping for a traffic light slams into your rear bumper. Now your back is injured and you've got to be at work and rehab, all without a car. I'm Jimmy Fasig at Fasig Brooks. We hear stories like this every day. You shouldn't pay for someone else's mistake. Call us at 850-777-7777 and we'll make sure you come back stronger.
Widden Glass has been taking care of business since 1945. When you call Widden Glass, you're dealing with experienced, reliable professionals who offer only the best. Like Widden's top-of-the-line bath enclosures that provide style and luxury at an affordable price. Eye-catching storefronts are a specialty at Widden Glass. We'll help you design it and install it. Widden Glass, the first name in glass replacement. Call 222-5781.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Many orthodontists in Tallahassee can straighten a smile, but at Birch Orthodontics, they're dedicated to providing the finest care possible. The experienced and friendly staff is trained in all of the latest techniques. So whether you need standard treatment like braces or Invisalign, or you have a more complicated case requiring extra attention, Birch Orthodontics is here for you. Set up your free consultation today by visiting birchorthodontics.com, BURCH orthodontics.com, or call 850-877-1692. At Birch Orthodontics, they create beautiful smiles that last a lifetime.
Seminole Headlines returns now. Head to YouTube and search for Warchant TV today to catch the show live or on demand. Now, here's Jeff Cameron, Ira Schofel, and Corey Clark.
Randy, we know the Jerry bit is old. It's from a bygone time when we were back at the old studios, and somehow between the three of us, we could not remember a black Jerry, and there was a Jerry on the team at the time.
Well, there was Jerry Johnson, and then there was also
lots of Jerry's. Yeah,
Jerry Rice didn't even come to
well,
our.
Yeah, we were just talking about they were all over the place after the more we looked at it. We were like, there are black Jerrys everywhere. What's wrong with us?
Yeah.
But the three of us couldn't remember a single black Jerry in the history of the world.
Unfortunate. Not one of our finer moments.
And now we make fun of it. Now we make fun of ourselves every time. It's fun.
The difference then, though, is like we were recording the show. So like we would record it and
then
we'd
we
go
go,
do our
oh,
thing.
Man, Jerry Rice was pretty freaking good.
And then people would hear the show and then they text you and you're just like, yeah, man, I know we figured it out later, but like
it was too late.
Now it's like when we do it live, people are
yeah.
They can embarrass us in the moment.
Robert wants to know if you could go back in time, what's one sporting event you would have wanted to attend?
Wow.
That's tough. There's a ton.
Maybe Hank Aaron hitting the home run. Oh no, but Barry Bonds breaking Hank Aaron's record. I would have
because of course, yeah.
I would have loved to have been there.
Where we were that night.
What scenario would have happened to Corey? Like what would have had to let up to your day, or how much alcohol would have had to let up to your day for you to run on the field and circle the bases with Hank Aaron?
Those two guys were from Valdosta.
Yeah,
were they really?
Real minces?
But like, if you were sitting by them and they made the leap over the wall to get on that, like, what would have had to have led your day to get you to go with them?
I'm trying to think because my first answer is if I was drunk enough to think that was a good idea, I would not be able to stand or run, and I would be
And you
blacked
wouldn't
out,
remember the
passed
home
out.
run. Yeah, that
I'd
wouldn't
be
be good.
passed out in the seat, like I couldn't move. If I have any sense of common or otherwise, I'm not jumping on that field because they were genuinely worried that somebody was going to kill Hank
Of
Aaron for
course, and
breaking the
everybody
record.
knew that,
And they're
including
lucky
Hank.
they
That's why
weren't
he looked at
shot
him
in the
nervously.
forehead.
Yeah. You put your life at risk, indeed.
Think how different that highlight would be on all those This Week in Baseballs. If Hank Aaron's rounded second, two white dudes just get shot and their heads explode.
Yeah, it's blurred.
But they still do the 20-minute speech afterwards, and everybody's cheering.
Hank went on to round third and touch home base in footage we cannot show you. Home plate. Yeah. No, I'm trying to think of sporting. Yeah. So you're going to bring it back home to something more personal that, you have a passion for. So that's why you say the Braves and Hank Aaron. I'm trying to think. I don't really have any of those things because I've been at every one of Florida State's national championship games.
The Miracle on Ice.
I've seen the Miracle on Ice.
That crossed my mind, but I don't really care about hockey.
No,
just
but
historically,
that was incredible.
Maybe like Tiger's first Masters, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, over the course of 4 days, that was. Screw you, know that. I'm trying to maybe. Well, I could do the same thing with Ira right next to me. I could do the 79 or 71 championships for the Pirates with Pop Stargels going yard and in a big way in that Game 7. So I don't know.
Mazeroski in 60 with a walk-off.
How about that? Yeah, it would have been good.
Hey, here's an answer that will kind of pull at the heartstrings. In all honesty, I would want to go back to one I already saw, which was, and I'm not doing this for you, Jeff. I'm not trying
92.
to twist the knife. The 92 Cabrera hit. And
Yeah, that's why I said screw you, know that. He brought it up.
Just because I was there though, but I would give almost anything to go relive that again with my dad. That was probably our all-time best sports moment together.
And that's the only thing that allows me to live with the fact that it comes up as often as it does, as I know the warmth it provides, your memories and all that. No, I'm serious about that. Yeah,
the cool moment at the Trop the other day was a Braves fan, or it was an Orioles fan and a Rays fan, kind of like talking, just jostling a little bit, nothing
having
nasty,
a little fun.
And the one guy, the Rays guy, was talking about how good they've been, and the Orioles fan's like, yeah, well, we won a few more World Series than you. And then the Orioles fan, like, there's like a pause, and the Orioles fan goes, "Was before I was born."
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. It's been a minute.
Well, I'm still mad at Jeffrey Mayer for you.
Oh my God.
I'm still mad about that.
I've showed that clip to my kids.
Oh, it's awful. I watched
That's
it
where you should go, Ira, and go throat punch that kid in the fourth inning, and he can't do it.
Just if I could go back in time before he's done anything wrong,
take him out.
Just go up and throat punch him.
Well, pretend to trip and just take him down some steps. That's all. Oh, sorry about that. Oh, broken face, huh,
like,
Jeffrey? Awful.
Like
You're going to have to go to the hospital. You can't watch this game.
Yeah, or you could take out the ump's dumbass who allowed for it to stand and signaled home run, even though he clearly saw my man reach over. Those are toughies. That's the problem, is that we're all like coaches. We remember the losses more than the wins, and we would go back and not enjoy this great moment of victory.
Tragedy.
We would go back and solve that nonsense. Like, I'm sorry, we are not the 97 Florida game. I'm in the stands yelling, "What are we doing, Bobby?"
Could you get to the front row and just scream at the whole game?
Bobby, don't do it. I'm telling you, you're going to regret this the rest of your life. Also, Mickey, Jaquez Green.
Just cover him. Double him. Shade of safety over there.
Mickey, damn it, man.
When Doug Johnson comes in, he's going to throw.
He's all, by the way, Miami, after every time out, they're running a screen. They're going to run a screen. I'm telling you, and he's going to go 80 yards, Mickey.
Yeah, the question should be if you could go back in time and be a coach on the sideline of what game, what would it be, or in a dugout?
I'm undoing one of the wide rights for sure. I'm undoing a wide right. There's
Amen. The first one.
Damn it. Yeah, the first one. Yeah, damn it, man. I get mad thinking about it. All these years later, I wonder if I'm going to be 70 going, ah!
Yeah. I mean, we're getting there. We're close. We're fast approaching, and we're still doing it.
Do we have any more? One more question here before it's by the way, Walter pointed out to all of us that Registers is now at Sam's in Tallahassee. He sees it everywhere these days.
Let's go.
Let's go. So a win for Register Sausage at the end of the show here.
Nice.
As they often do. But yeah, that's a nice.
Hey, and probably we should announce probably no show next week, right? Because it's July 4th.
That is correct. There is no show next week. In fact, taking a couple.
We
days
love
off.
America more than we love you guys.
That's what it is. We wanted to honor the country on this 4th of July, and we couldn't do it by hosting Seminole Headlines, damn it.
Right.
Somebody's got to be by a pool eating Register sausage and having some friends over. Gentlemen, enjoy your Independence weekend. Has the Daryl Jackson waiver replaced Destin Hill's arrival as the FSU Twitter Loch Ness Monster?
Yes,
that's
it
from
has.
RA.
It sure has.
Ira, when's it coming? Real quick,
Yeah.
give us a wink, man. If it's coming soon, if you're hearing good news.
It needs to happen, but I don't know that it's imminent.
Ambassador to Florida writes, has there been one play call from Mike Norvell that made you think, this guy could drink a whole bottle of Don Julio and walk away unscathed?
The time when they snapped it between Wyatt Rector's legs, like they had him line up and then I forget, I don't know who was behind him, but he went to the direct snap because they'd run that a few times, but they snapped it between his legs to Jordan. I thought it was a pretty clever play. And
they had some play against North Carolina early in 2020, the COVID year, where they're on their old goal line and they hit Preston Daniel for a 40 or 50-yard pass right down the middle. I'm like, okay, they're designing some things to make some plays. Wait till they get some better talent.
Yeah, they designed some things. Trick loves the kids. Great title for our next questioner. Are Corey and Ira both terrible drivers? A few weeks ago, Ira wanted Corey to quickly cut across lanes on the highway like a maniac. Last week, Corey said literal pedestrian crossings with markings and lights aren't real crosswalks. How afraid should we be with these two gentlemen on the roadway?
We're hazards, baby. Come to Tallahassee at your own risk.
Your description of a literal crosswalk with the lights and sign.
It's not a real crosswalk.
That is a real.
I'm saying there aren't the white checkered lines. It's just there's a yellow sign that they decide to just walk out.
There's just a yellow flashing light and a sign that has somebody walking through a crosswalk.
But it's only yellow because they start walking.
Right away. Yeah, no, it's good. For Ira,
I mean, they're just playing chicken with us.
Drivers, I'm Jeff. Good job, Director Matthew. Peace. We'll talk to you guys a week from today. 2 weeks from today. Happy 4th of July. Until then, peace.